Have you ever felt the weight of a day pressing on your heart before it even arrives? As if the wind itself is carrying a strange message, as if time is about to change its course and your life will never be the same. And what if I told you that August 16th, 2025 is the day that was foretold years ago, but most people never took it seriously? Would you still remain silent? I remember the first time I heard about it. It was late at night and I was scrolling through old journals my grandmother had left behind. She was a quiet woman, never one to exaggerate, but her words that night cut into my soul. She wrote, "There will come a day when the world will be distracted, and when hearts are far from truth, that is the day the warning will come." And she underlined the date, August 16th, 2025. I thought maybe it was just an old superstition, but something in my chest would not let me ignore it. As the days passed, I started noticing things. People rushing through life, never stopping to listen to their own thoughts. The sky changing in ways I could not explain, a heaviness in the air, as if the earth itself was holding its breath. I began to ask myself, what if we are given warnings not to scare us but to prepare us? What if this date is not about fear, but about choice? The choice to rise above the noise, the choice to face the truth within ourselves, the choice to act before it is too late. I met a man, a traveler, who had been to places most of us only see in dreams. He spoke of ancient signs, patterns that repeat every few decades, cycles of change that shake the foundation of humanity. He said those who pay attention survive, not just in body, but in spirit. Those who ignore the signs end up wondering why they feel lost in their own lives. And when I told him the date, he froze and simply whispered, "Prepare." And so I began to prepare, not by stocking up on things, not by hiding away, but by clearing my heart of anger, forgiving those I once hated, speaking words of kindness even when I felt none, spending time with the people who matter instead of wasting hours on empty distractions. I realized preparation is not about escaping the world. It is about becoming the kind of person who can stand strong no matter what the world throws at you. Now, I am telling you because you have a choice. You can laugh it off, you can scroll past and forget you heard my voice, or you can take this as your moment to wake up. Think about your life right now, the people you have hurt, the dreams you have abandoned, the chances you were too afraid to take. Ask yourself, if the world truly changed in one day, would you be ready? Would you be proud of the way you lived up until now? August 16th, 2025 may come and go like any other day, or it may be the day that shakes the ground beneath our feet. But either way, you will remember that someone told you. You will remember that your heart felt something you could not explain. And when that moment comes, you will either stand ready with your head high, or you will wish you had listened. So do not ignore this. Do not put it aside. Live every moment from now as if the world depends on the light inside you, because maybe it does. And maybe, just maybe, that light is exactly what this date is calling for.
I know what you are thinking. Maybe it is all just coincidence. Maybe it is nothing but another date on the calendar. But deep down, there is a reason you are still listening, because your soul knows when something is calling to it. Your heart knows when a warning is more than just words. And if you are still here, it means you feel it too. I have carried this feeling for months, like a whisper that follows me everywhere. In crowded streets, in silent nights, in the moments between waking and sleep, it is always there. August 16th, 2025, like a shadow, like a promise. I started noticing how the world itself feels different. The sunsets are somehow more intense, as if the sky is trying to speak. The wind sometimes feels warm, sometimes cold in the same breath, as if two seasons are touching each other in a single moment. And people around me seem restless. Some are angry for no reason. some are sad without knowing why, and some keep searching for something that cannot name. I watch them and I think, maybe the change has already begun. Maybe it is not something that will happen in one sudden flash, but something that is quietly unfolding. And when the date arrives, it will simply be the moment we realize what has already been set in motion. There is a park near my home where I go to clear my mind. One afternoon, I was sitting there, watching the trees sway, and an old woman came and sat beside me. She did not look at me for a while. She just stared at the horizon, and then she said, without turning her head, "The days are numbered, child, not the way you think, but the way the soul counts time when it knows the chapter is ending." She looked into my eyes, and I felt like she could see every memory, every regret, every hope I had. She smiled faintly and said, "Prepare to be more than you have been, for the day that comes will demand it." Then she stood and walked away before I could ask her what she meant. I never saw her again, but her words are carved into me. So I began to write letters to myself, letters that remind me who I want to be, letters I will read when I feel afraid. I started telling the people I love how much they matter, even if they laugh, even if they do not understand. I do not want the weight of unsaid words to follow me into that day or any day. I want my life to be a message, not a warning, to be remembered. And you, who are listening now, maybe you think you are just one person. Maybe you think you cannot change anything, but you are wrong. Every great turning in history began with a few hearts awake while the rest slept. Every moment that shaped the future started as a quiet decision inside someone to live differently, to speak when it was easier to stay silent, to stand when it was safer to kneel. So on August 16th, 2025, if the skies darken, if the world shakes, if the news fills with fear, you will remember this voice. You will remember that you were told to prepare, not by hiding, not by hoarding, but by becoming. You will stand in that moment with eyes open, heart steady, and you will know that whatever comes, you were ready for it. But maybe the change will not be loud. Maybe there will be no earthquake, no great flash. Maybe it will be the kind of change that only the soul feels, and those who are numb will miss it entirely. But those who are awake will feel the shift deep within, like the tide turning in the ocean, like the first breath after a long silence. And if that is the case, then all of these words will not have been a warning at all, but an invitation for you to become the version of yourself that you have always been called to be. Because the truth is, every date, every prophecy, every sign is only as powerful as the change it inspires in you, right now, not someday, not when you feel ready, but this very moment, as you hear my voice.
When I lie awake at night, I think about how easily we waste the days we are given. We speak of tomorrow as if it is guaranteed. We make promises to ourselves that we will change later. We tell the people we love that we will make time for them later. We hold on to anger as if there will always be another chance to forgive. But the truth is, we never know which day will be the day that changes everything. Maybe August 16, 2025 is just another date on the calendar. Or maybe it is the day that will reveal who we truly are, not to the world, but to ourselves. I remember once standing by the sea, the waves crashing against the shore with a rhythm that felt ancient and unchanging, and yet the sky above was shifting in color faster than I had ever seen. One moment, pale gold, the next, a deep crimson. And I felt in that moment that the world was speaking to me in a language beyond words. It was telling me that everything moves, everything changes, but some moments carry more weight than others. And that weight is not to be feared, but to be respected. I have met people who laugh at the idea of signs and warnings. They say life is random and nothing has meaning. But those are often the same people who lie awake wondering why they feel empty, who stare at their reflection and wonder when they became a stranger to themselves. I believe we are given signs because we need them. I believe the heart recognizes truths long before the mind is ready to accept them. And I believe August 16, 2025 is a sign for those who are willing to see. I want you to think about the dreams you once had, the ones you buried because life got in the way. Think about the words you wish you had spoken, the chances you wish you had taken. Now imagine that the world as you know it will shift on that date and you will wake up either proud of the life you have lived or desperate for another chance. And if that thought puts even the smallest spark of urgency inside you, then hold on to it. Do not let the noise of the world drown it out. I once spoke to a man on a train. We were strangers, yet somehow the conversation felt like we had known each other for years. He told me that in his travels he had seen places where people lived as if each day was their last, not because they were afraid, but because they understood that life is a gift that does not promise tomorrow. He said they smiled more, they forgave faster, they loved deeper, and they did not waste time pretending to be someone they were not. When I told him about the date, he nodded slowly and said, "If that day comes and you have lived in such a way that you do not regret, then it will not matter what happens, for you will have already have won." So, I am asking you not to prepare with fear, but to prepare with purpose. Start now, not tomorrow. Let August 16, 2025 be the day you look back on and say, "I was ready because I had already begun to live fully before it arrived." Do not wait for the earth to shake to open your eyes. Do not wait for the sky to change to find your courage. And do not wait for the world to tell you it is time, because your heart is telling you now. And when that day comes, whether it arrives with silence or with storm, you will stand in it, knowing that you listened, knowing that you chose to wake up before it was too late, and knowing that whatever comes, you are not just surviving, you are truly alive. Sometimes I think about the people who will not hear this message, the ones who will turn away because they believe nothing can touch them. And I wonder if on that day they will feel the shift too late. Not in the air or the sky, but in the weight pressing on their chest as they realize that the time to change was not tomorrow, but yesterday. We all believe we have more time, until we do not. And the cruel thing about time is that it moves forward, whether we are ready or not. I remember walking through the city late one night, the streets nearly empty, except for a street musician playing a slow, haunting tune on his violin. I stood there, listening, feeling like the song was coming from somewhere beyond the world. And I asked him what the song was. He looked at me with tired eyes and said, "It is called The Day Before the Change." He told me his father had played it for him, and his father before that, a melody that was meant to be heard before moments in history when nothing would ever be the same. I told him about the date, and he stopped playing for a moment, then started again, slower, softer, almost like a prayer. And I realized that there are people everywhere who feel it, even if they do not speak of it. You see, warnings do not always come in loud voices or flashing signs. Sometimes they're in the way the wind moves through the trees. Sometimes they're in the way a stranger's eyes hold yours for just a second too long. Sometimes they're in the sudden ache in your chest when you think about the life you wanted to live but never did. And I believe this is why the date matters, not because of what will happen outside, but because of what it calls us to change inside. There was a dream I had not long ago. I was standing in a vast open field under a sky that seemed both day and night at the same time, half the horizon bathed in sunlight, the other half swallowed in stars. I could hear voices in the distance, calling names, not in fear but in recognition, like they were calling people home. And when I looked down at my hands, they were glowing faintly, as if light itself
had decided to live inside me. When I woke, I could still feel the warmth in my palms, and I knew it was a sign that the preparation was not about building walls, but about becoming light. So I started to ask myself questions every morning. If this was the last sunrise I would see, would I be proud of how I lived yesterday? If today was the last time I could speak to someone I love, would they know what they mean to me? If this moment was the final chance to forgive someone, would I take it, or would I carry the weight with me forever? And I began to live differently, not perfectly, but intentionally. And every day that passed, I felt more ready, not for an ending, but for a beginning. And this is what I want for you. Not to wait for August 16th, 2025 in fear, but to walk toward it with your head high, your heart open, and your life already aligned with the person you are meant to be. Because the truth is, whether that day brings storm or silence, the real prophecy is that you can change right now, that you can take this moment as the one that matters the most, and when the rest of the world finally feels what you feel now, you will be ready to help them stand too. And maybe that is why you are hearing this. Maybe the date is less about what will happen to you and more about what will happen through you, because when the world is shaken, even if it is only in spirit, people will look for those whose light has not gone out. And maybe that is who you are meant to be.
So if you remember nothing else from my voice, remember this. You were not born to live half awake. You were not created to drift through your days waiting for the right time. Because the right time is never later. It is always now. August 16, 2025 may be a day the world remembers. Or it may be a day only your soul feels. But if you walk into it with courage, if you have already begun to live with love and truth, then whatever happens, you will meet it unshaken. And when that morning comes, you will rise. You will look at the sky, no matter what color it is, no matter what the air feels like, and you will breathe deeply, knowing you are ready. Not because you knew what would happen, but because you chose who you would be before it did. And in that moment, you will realize the prophecy was never about the date at all. It was about you, about this choice, about this awakening. And in that quiet triumph, you will know that you did not waste the warning. You became it.